Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kayla, and if you're interested in beauty and lifestyle videos sprinkled with magic, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In today's video, we're going to be doing a full face of Asian beauty in celebration of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I got this look and which product I use, then keep watching. Okay, so for today's video, we're doing a full face of Asian owned beauty, and we are starting off with NYX. I actually found out a few years ago that NYX was founded by an Asian woman, so we're starting off with my NYX Ultra Matte Primer, and I use this pretty much all the time. So let's dive into it, and I figured through this video we would just chat through kind of like my growing up Asian American story. So I just wanted to start off this video by saying that I am adopted. So my parents are Chinese and Japanese, but I am fully Chinese. So I grew up like practicing Chinese and Japanese traditions and everything like that. But I actually will say though that my parents are pretty Americanized. They're both second generation. So both of my grandparents, or both sets of grandparents, were born in America. Interesting fact, I guess, is that my grandmother actually was in the Japanese internment camp. So I feel like that was like a really interesting part of like me growing up and spending time with my grandmother. And it was so crazy because like back then she would always talk about like, oh yeah, when we were in camp we used to do this, we used to do this, and then later on I realized that she was talking about when she was in the Japanese internment camp. So that's just crazy to me. So for eyeshadow, I'm kind of cheating with this one, and I'm using Odin's Eye, but this is in collaboration with Judy, who is an Asian creator here on YouTube. I feel like if you've seen a lot of my makeup videos, I talk about her a lot, but she is my makeup idol, and she always inspires me, and I feel like she taught me everything that I know about makeup. So anyways, I just wanted to support her in this video. So I'm going to be using her Red Dragon palette, and this is in collaboration with Odin's Eye, and I don't believe this is available anymore because it's all sold out, but this is such a stunning palette, so that's what we're going to be using today. And as you can see, like, this is definitely very well loved. I used it a lot in the beginning when I first got it, but then I kind of just want to savor a lot of it because it's limited edition and I don't like want to run out of these colors, so that's why I haven't used it as much, but I'm really excited to use it again today. To dive into the eyeshadow, we're gonna go ahead and use, I think we're gonna do like a little bit more of a warmer eye look today. So I'm gonna go in with Serene, which is just this peachy color here, and then I'm going to use this as my transition shadow. So yeah, like I was saying, growing up we definitely practiced a lot of like, not really, I would just say we honestly did practice a few like cultural traditions. Like we celebrate Lunar New Year, and we do like a lot of like kind of Japanese traditions, I feel like I would say, but more so because of my grandparents and everything like that. My parents are both pretty Americanized since they grew up here, and like they went to high school and like college and everything like that here. So I would say that my family, even my extended family, is pretty Americanized, but we definitely love to like eat Asian food. Like I loved having like chashu baos or like dim sum or like having sushi. So growing up I definitely would say I obviously knew I was Asian American, but then I wouldn't say I was like extremely proud, or I just like didn't realize how special that was, because where I grew up Asians actually are the majority. So I grew up in a pretty diverse area. Like most people are like East Asian or like Southeast Asian. So looking back, I feel like I was pretty lucky to grow up in a pretty diverse area. But there was this one time when I was like a kid, I remember I brought sushi to school, and I love sushi, and this one kid was like, ew, what's that? Because she just wasn't used to the smell, and I was just like so embarrassed. I remember like hiding myself just so I could eat my lunch, and I felt like so embarrassed, and I was like, I never want to bring like sushi or anything like that to school again. I just want to bring like a sandwich or something. That was kind of like the first experience of like racism maybe that I have, or just like ignorance. But you know, when kids are young they are just like super ignorant. I'm gonna like blend this out before I keep talking because I am clearly not good at multitasking. Okay, so I pretty much have all of this blended out, so I'm gonna go in with a darker color to kind of like define my outer third of my eye, and go in with Yin, which is like this beautiful terracotta color here. So yeah, growing up I would say I didn't really experience a lot of racism, which I feel pretty fortunate to have experienced and everything. Like I think especially in the Bay Area I feel like it's pretty diverse. I think I definitely didn't appreciate or like celebrate being Asian American until I was like in college because I was able to take, or actually no, I take that back. Like in high school, I definitely did participate in multicultural. Like I remember my senior year, I actually did a taiko drum performance, which was really cool, and I showed my grandmother, or my bachan, and she was really proud and she thought it was really cool. So yeah, I definitely would say that was like one thing that I'm super proud of. And I definitely think that the turning point for me to like be really proud to be Asian American was when I went to high school, because I went to SF State and we were the first school that had an ethnic studies department. So I took a lot of Asian American studies classes and I learned a lot more about like our history here in America. And I also joined an Asian inter-sorority, which is kind of funny because I feel like when I was in high school I didn't necessarily appreciate it as much because I was just like, oh, this is kind of like the norm. But like when I went to school, it was a lot more diverse and stuff, and so I think I realized just how much more important it is to have friends who kind of like, not even just like of similar backgrounds, but just like who understand how you grew up and like grew up in similar ways. Not saying it's the only way, but I am saying it's like you appreciate it more when like people kind of understand how you grew up and like share similar values. So yeah, I will say that like going to college and taking these Asian American studies class and then just learning a lot more about our history and then kind of diving deeper into my own family's history really made me proud to be Asian American and like proud to be Chinese American too. So, and I feel like I just didn't really realize like how lucky I was to grow up in such a diverse area until I started working in corporate America, because there's a lot of situations where I feel like it's kind of like a bamboo ceiling where you do want to do your best and you do want to be successful, but then how far can you actually go in a corporate company? So that's like still something I feel like I'm learning how to tackle now. Again, I'm gonna finish blending out this eyeshadow and then we'll get back into the story. Also, you guys, look how pigmented this eyeshadow is. Like I really need to try more of Odin's eye. Yes, it is Odin's eye. Okay, so I think we're kind of going for like a sunset look, which I'm not mad about. I'm gonna go back in with Serene and kind of just like blend out the harsh edges. I definitely like this eye better than this eye, but it's okay. It'll look different when I have eyelashes on. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and cut the crease because we're gonna do a half cut crease. And I'm kind of cheating here, but I'm gonna use my e.l.f. Cosmetics concealer to just carve that out. So to kind of just like go back to my experiences, I work in a very big corporate company, and it's just interesting to me how like we talk about equality so much, but then I feel like when you look at our leadership team and you look at even just like my team's leadership team, like where's the diversity? Like that's kind of something that I've brought up a lot with like my manager and like her manager and everything too. And I feel like in kind of corporate America, or just in like America overall, like measures of diversity and equality and inclusivity, I feel like those conversations are definitely being had, but then like having those conversations turn into actionable next steps is two very different things. So I work in marketing, and something that we talk about a lot is making sure we're having diversity represented in our marketing and also like in the different speakers that we select and everything. And it's just interesting because like we talk about having diversity like when someone's looking at our company, but then internally, is there diversity? I don't know. Which is why I just feel like it's so cool when I've seen cool, strong Asian women being promoted to like leadership positions. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, kind of overcoming that bamboo ceiling is definitely something that I struggle with, or I've definitely seen working in corporate America, but I think it's so interesting. Like sometimes I fall into the Asian stereotype without even realizing it. Something my manager or like my boss's boss said to me one time was that you work so hard but you keep so calm, cool, and collected, and I feel like it's kind of like an Asian stereotype in a way. I don't know. When she said that, it kind of just like struck something in me. I was like, stereotype of Asians is that like we always want to do our best hard work, but then like we often don't like complain or anything like that, which I think is very prominent. And I think something that like I struggle with is that like it's expected in my company to be like very loud and like vocal about what you're doing, but that's like not something that I always want to do and like talk about all the amazing work that I'm doing, but it shows like in my numbers. I just wonder, like, am I being overlooked for promotion because I'm too quiet? And so it's just something that I find interesting about working in corporate America. But in the future, I definitely want to see like more, not even just Asian people, but just people of color in leadership positions, because I really feel like when there's a lot of diverse opinions and voices, you come to make a better decision. If you have the same type of people on the team, I feel like everyone is just kind of think the same, and like no progress would be made in a way because you're just all thinking the same way. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but anyways, so going back to me kind of like struggling to overcome the bamboo ceiling. This is kind of related, but not really related. It's just like one time I was telling my mom how I negotiated for higher pay. And she was like, don't be greedy. And then I was just like, it's not being greedy, it's just like really knowing my worth. And yeah, that's something that I definitely kind of like want to realize in my work, because I feel like I do work pretty hard at work, but I just also need to make sure that I'm recognized for that. And some advice that I would kind of give for like moving up in the workforce or like in corporate America is just to really have like a good manager and to have allies who support you and who could also be a mentor. And I feel like I was really lucky to have like a really great manager who advocates for me, and then I've also found like other mentors that's not necessarily my manager to have like an unbiased opinion or help me with just like career moves that I want to make. So yeah, just make sure you have a really good mentor or manager who will advocate for you. And also, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself and fight for what you actually deserve and know your worth. So for my half cut crease color, I think I'm going to go ahead and use Overheat. But this shadow is kind of like a Super Shock shadow formulation-ish. Like it's kind of a little bit more creamy. I forget what those are called, but like the ones from ColourPop. So I'm actually going to use my Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist and then spray my brush here first. And then I feel like it makes it a lot more sparkly. So now I kind of wanted to talk about like Asian representation in the media, and I definitely think that I talk about Asian representation like on my Instagram a lot more, which is why I thought it was cool to make this full face of Asian beauty for my YouTube channel. I definitely think that like Hollywood and mainstream media has come a long way with Asian representation, but I do definitely think it took a long time to get there, because like growing up, I feel like we just had Mulan to look up to, but other characters that I would relate to like on an emotional level a little bit more were characters who didn't look like me. But now there's so much more representation, which I'm so excited about. Like we have Turning Red, and we have Shang-Chi, our first Asian Marvel superhero, and we also have like To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Like growing up, I don't think I ever remember seeing an Asian like in a relationship. Maybe Sandra Oh in Grey's Anatomy. Either way, I feel like Hollywood has definitely come a long way with Asian representation in the media, and I feel like there are still so many Asian stories to tell. Like I think a lot of the times in Hollywood, Asians are kind of clumped into one monolith, but Asians are not a monolith. Like in America, I feel like there's like so many different types of Asian cultures. Like there's Chinese, there's like Korean, there's Japanese, there's Thai, there's Vietnamese. Like there's a lot of different stories that need to be told, and I hope that in the future everyone feels represented in these stories that they see growing up. Like growing up, I feel like I didn't necessarily have that, but it makes me really happy now that like my nieces and nephews have a lot of different Asian stories to look up to and kind of aspire to be like. And also I think I will say that like growing up, or now that I've grown up and I'm an adult, I think I realized that I definitely try to like look for those Asian stories. Even when I was growing up, I feel like I definitely subconsciously did this. Like I watched a lot of YouTube, so I watched I Like Whaley. Shout out to you, girl, for teaching us all how to put on a tampon. But then now as an adult, I really enjoy listening to Asian Boss Girl, just because their stories I feel like I relate to and I really resonate with. Like I said, we just really need more of that. It is so pretty and like metallic-y, but to add a little bit more color, I'm gonna go ahead and take this little brush here. I'm gonna go ahead and put Luna here, and then I'm gonna put it where the cut crease like meets the outer third shadow. So then it kind of like blends it in a little bit more. Okay, so now it's time for the lashes. So for my lashes today, I'm going to be using Doe lashes, and these are called Starry Night. And these are really pretty because they're like a little bit more flared out on the end, so they'll really emphasize the cut crease. And yes, I've already used them, but this is what they look like. Cute. With my primer, I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. That is a tongue twister. So for my base, I'm going to be using Tower 28 Sunny Days Broad Spectrum. This is so used, like I can't even see what this is anymore, but I'm going to be using this as my base. Okay, so now I kind of want to talk about like my hopes for the future. I feel like I kind of already touched on it with talking about like Asian representation in the media, but that is really, I feel like, my hope for the future. Like I want more Asian stories to be told, and I want everyone to feel represented in the media, because I feel like that is so important to just have someone to look up to who looks like you. Because like growing up, I felt like the beauty standard was kind of to look like a Caucasian woman, but that is honestly just like not the case, and we are beautiful in our own way. And I feel like having more representation in the media will be a really huge key to that. And I also just want to say, I really hope for the future that like I really hope that everyone kind of just like educates themselves a little more about everyone. Like I want everyone to learn how to appreciate everyone's differences and actually celebrate them, because I feel like we all have such unique and special qualities to bring to the table, whether that be cultural or your personality. Like there doesn't have to be so much hate in the world, and I feel like that's my hope for the future. I have to swap out my camera battery, so hopefully this will last. But I think a big key of being able to celebrate and understand everyone's differences is to educate people like starting at a young age. Like I think ethnic studies should definitely be taught in elementary school upwards, because it is so important, and I feel like it just makes people understand each other a lot more. And for my contour, I'm going to be using Cosmetics So Soft Bronzing Stick in the shade Summer. Oh, something I also want to talk about is for the future. I feel like as I'm getting older and I'm kind of thinking about kids just like a little bit more, like it makes me want to like understand where I came from and just like understand the traditions that like my grandparents practiced when they were growing up, so I can pass it on to my children. And for blush, actually, I'm going to use this a little brighter one because I think it'll match a little bit more. Again, this is super dirty, but I'm going to use Cosmetics So Soft Blush Stick in Lychee. It's like a really pretty peachy, pinky color. I like to bridge some on my nose. And because gorgeous, gorgeous girls always over blush, I'm going to be using Patrick Ta's She's That Girl Double Take Cream and Powder Blush, but I'm going to just use the powder blush to kind of like set in my blush. And for highlighter, I'm going to use my favorite highlighter. It's Cosmetics Sunscape Highlighter in Clarity. And I'm going to change, and then we're going to put on the lips. Okay, so I got changed. So for lips, I'm going to use my Cosmetics Lip Cushion Tinted Lip Luminizer in the shade Venetian Rose. And we're pretty much completed with the look, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little chatty get ready with me, and hopefully you guys are able to try out some of these products because they are amazing and I love all of them. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about me, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below in the comments who is your favorite Asian icon in media. I feel like mine will always be my homegirl Mulan, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video from me, and let's stay connected. Follow me on my socials, they're both just Kayla's Ever After, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!